Here we are again, Sundays with Cinnamon. I love saying that.
Yeah.
And today I wanted to talk about, or have you speak about, addictions. And what is an addiction? A lot of times in our Living Love class, we speak about addictive demands. And so either what is an addiction or what is an addictive demand? Whatever you want to talk about first.
Well, an addictive demand is the manifestation of an addiction. So you're speaking about both simultaneously.
Yes.
An addiction, as we translate it in Living Love language, is any emotion-backed demand that something or someone be different than it is. So you're literally fighting against the what is.
Can you give an example?
If I want to look 30 years old, I'm in big trouble because I don't. I look 70 years old and I'm only 68. So it's wanting something that's not, or not wanting so much as demanding that I have something that's not gettable. And so it helps to know that so that you can deal with what is. In other words, you have an addictive demand. Say it was me wanting to not have wrinkles. And then I look in the mirror and there's the what is. And if I don't surrender to that and love that, I'm going to suffer. So addictions cause suffering. I have a children's class and they have 4 pathways that they've learned word perfectly. And their second pathway is addictions are the only cause of suffering, no exceptions.
Yes.
So if you want to talk about the no exceptions, because the kids love to say that, no exceptions, except when they're caught up and then they want to make an exception. Although they're learning how not to, and that's so beautiful, because what they're learning is to be more themselves, and they won't forget and be 30, 40, 50 years old sitting in a class figuring out who they are and what they're doing here. So I'm loving that children's class because it's our future, and we're ensuring it by teaching the children that they are perfect and that they are worthy and valuable.
Yes. Well, you did say that, or you mentioned basically that an addiction is, what am I trying to say here? Or what am I saying here? See, I'm trying.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the
Not
trying
working.
word. It's not working. Okay, so what I want to say is that you mentioned something that you couldn't change. Well, often our minds say, oh, we can change this. If we, obsess about it, or if we think about it, or if we do this, we will be able to change it. See, because you used an example that, can you give me an example of an addictive demand on something that could be changeable if we held it as a preference?
Oh yeah, wrinkles. Go get plastic surgery.
Oh,
See if I'm addicted.
well, there you go.
But see if I'm addicted to looking young and I get plastic surgery, it's never going to satisfy me, because then I switch addictions. I'm addictively demanding that you not know I have plastic surgery, or that you think it's beautiful, or whatever. See, addictions are about wanting control over that which cannot be controlled. And so if you do something from a preference, then it doesn't matter how it comes out, because, well, win some, lose some. If you do it from addiction, there's no end to having to control the loose ends and everything about it. So,
Yes.
Does that
Yes,
satisfy the
yes,
question?
that does satisfy me. Let's speak about the good opinion, the addiction to the good opinion of other people, the goop.
Yeah.
I mention that a lot in my writing, in my blog, and I find that that is one of the biggest addictions out there that people are completely unaware of.
You could almost call that a disease of our society.
Yes,
And it occurs in the family environment, where the children are concerned about how their parents see them, or if their parents talk to them with their mean voice, then that means something about them, and then they resort to things like baby talk, baby voices, because they want to. Maybe you'll love me if I'm a baby, and it's just heart-wrenching to see how much of our existence, our joy is placed in the hands of other people. Because you cannot satisfy, like I walk into a room full of people, sometimes an auditorium full of people. Do you think for 1 minute there aren't going to be a few people that take one look at me and say, well, what is that old chick going to tell me about me? And all you can do is be who you really are with all your heart, because that's who you really are. You're just heart. Essence of love, of the creation. And then leave it.
So what do we do about our family members that are our blood family members that are not happy with choices we make, or
you tell them, you have compassion for them. You say, I am so sorry that what I'm doing doesn't meet your models and doesn't trigger joy in you. You just have compassion and honor the difference, because they're just seeing you differently than you're willing to see yourself.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
And what about the addiction to, I'd like to speak about, because I like to speak about my addictions, and one of my addictions.
You have addictions?
Yes, I have some addictions. Why don't you tell everybody what my addiction, what's one of my biggest addictions? Oh gosh.
Well, the good opinion of others.
Yes.
And controlling the outcomes.
Yes.
Yeah. And you are addicted to knowing the imagined future, which is impossible. And so you give up a lot of your beautiful here and now. And you do it less and less, please.
Yes.
You have to honor, that you've done the inner work.
Yes.
And you even know to ask that. It's huge.
And I love it because I do know what you're going to say.
Sure.
I do. Although you didn't mention my addiction to enlightenment and choosing enlightenment in every moment.
That's good, because that you're pointing to that, because that points to the fact that there are no good addictions. Because people will see this and they'll say, well, there are some good addictions, like it's good to be afraid to walk into traffic, it's good to be addicted to your kids. And I promise you that's not so. Because you can teach people not to walk into traffic without upsetting yourself or them. You can just say, when a big thing hits a little thing, the little thing gets crushed, and you do the math. And you do it from a calm, loving place. And also with enlightenment, you're throwing away enlightenment with your addiction. Because addiction causes suffering, and enlightenment is about peace. And you can't have both simultaneously.
What is enlightenment to you?
Being here in your heart.
In every moment.
There's only one moment.
So often people are choosing enlightenment.
Yes.
And then they throw away their peace.
Yeah, moment to moment. They don't stay in the moment. In other words, they get this infusion of love, and they're present. And then they say, but what if? And as soon as they say that but word, they're getting in their own way. And they're calling in the imagined future based usually on the dead past. And then they toss away that moment of enlightenment. That's why I say it's thumbing your nose at enlightenment when you choose addiction. And when you choose addiction, you always have a choice.
Yes.
And I don't say always very often.
No, you don't.
And that you always have a choice as to whether you're going to buy into addiction or you're going to choose not to suffer. That doesn't mean you're not going to experience pain in this world. Believe me, I know that one. Because if you've contracted for experiences that require pain in order to learn and grow, then number one, it's going to be worth it. Number two, if you've signed up for it, you're up for it, so to speak. And so there's nothing to worry about. We've not talked about the wow theory, and that's what wow means. It means without worry. Wow. Instead of why. Why me?
Yes.
Wow, me. Kennedy said that in his own way. He said, don't ask what can my country do for me, ask what I can do for my country. It's the same thing.
Yes. Well, thank you. 10 minutes exactly. This
Oh,
completes this
lovely.
week's Sundays
This
with
is
Cinnamon.
a pleasure.
I love it.
Me
And
too.
it's off the cuff because I don't know what I'm going to say and you
And
don't know what you're going to
yeah,
say until
yeah.
the here now moment.
Exactly.
Thanks, Cinnamon.
Yeah, my
Mama.
pleasure. My
Love you.
pleasure, my pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.